Hello everybody, welcome to or welcome back to Everything Actually with me, your host, Ashley Fisher. Today is episode 40. Today's episode is going to be a list of 10 philosophies that I like to live by. The common theme between all of these is just pretty much to assume positively and create good things in your life and follow your intuition. That's pretty much to wrap them all up, but this will be a fairly quick episode just because it is bullet points. And the philosophies don't need too much elaboration, to be so honest. So number 1, take inspired action. This is pretty much, when you're like just hanging out, sitting around, whatever, and all of a sudden you get this idea and you go, ooh, I should start a podcast. Ooh, I should research this. Ooh, inspired action is essentially just when you're inspired to take action. Don't let that pass you, because it's just pretty much when you can get into a flow and start creating, and it's like a calling to do it. So that's number 1, take inspired action. Number 2, follow your intuition. This is the example that made me think of this while I was mentally compiling this list. I was in my car, and I was like coming inside, right? And it goes, oh, check the mailbox. I know I might have even checked the mailbox earlier, but I knew somebody else checked the mailbox today. I knew there wasn't going to be mail in it. I wasn't expecting a package, nothing like that. But in my head, it was like, just go and check the mailbox. So I did, because I always get that little voice intuition in my head all the time, all the time. So I checked it, and my whole thought process behind that was being, okay, even though there's nothing in the mailbox, that delayed me like 10, 15 seconds from getting inside. So do you guys see the connection I'm making? Even though that it's such a small thing and nothing was in the mailbox, my entire life could have been essentially changed because of those 15 minutes. Imagine that if I didn't take those 15 minutes and I was walking and like something fell out of the sky exactly where I was. But since I waited those 15 seconds, it didn't hit me because I wasn't in that place when I should have been, because I took a second to listen to my intuition. You get what I'm saying? Main point being, even if it doesn't make sense to you, if you hear that voice saying, oh, just check that, oh, just do that, oh, even if it doesn't make sense, just do it, because you have that intuition for one reason or another. And furthermore, you don't want to have that intuition, ignore it, and then later on find out what it was in relation to. You go, oh, that's why I thought that. So, number 3, the universe is working in your favor. Not totally sure how I want to explain this. Essentially, just assume that the universe is kind of conspiring for you to be successful, for you to be happy and have this positive life. Let's say you're single, right? And you really want a boyfriend. And you go to the store, right? You go to Target. Imagine the universe is conspiring, saying, ooh, we're going to give her this little push to go down the fruit aisle, even though she usually doesn't go down the fruit aisle. So that's with my last philosophy, that is, if you have that little intuition, just go with it. Just believe it. Connect with the source, whatever. And because that's the universe saying, oh, we're going to push her to go into the fruit aisle. And in the fruit aisle, just so happens, her future fiance is going to be there. You get what I'm saying? Like, I know that there's some law, rule, universal, whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's a negative one, that it's like anything you think can go wrong will go wrong, or also the opposite of I don't want to say anything you think can go right will go right, but something along the lines of just don't assume bad things are going to happen to you. Assume that the universe wants you to have, God wants you to have this good, happy life, and that they're conspiring to make that happen. Which connects me to number 4, how I just said that, oh, if you assume everything's working against you, everything is going to be working against you. If you assume everything is working for you, everything is going to be working for you. Sometimes I feel like when I talk, especially on here, it sounds like I'm being, I don't want to say too spiritual, but these concepts of like intuition and connecting with the universe and things of that nature, I understand some of you guys are like, whoa, you're getting hippie. If you just try it, just follow your intuition and see what happens, and you'll be like, wow, she was on to something. Because this is, not to get too into my little own personal life side tangent, I recently just started following it because, as I said, I've had this voice in my head forever and ever and ever. And I always say, not always ignore it, because I've learned when I ignore it, I'm like, oh wow, I shouldn't have, because now this happened and I knew this was going to happen. That is something I've always say to myself. I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. I digress. So, assume the universe is working in your favor, and that connects with life as a mirror. So now, you guys know, this is the negative example of it. You know, if you're having a bad day, you wake up. I think this is called the burnt toast theory. Everything has a theory. Just came from Pilates, by the way. My first class. So that's why I look absolutely crazy. But as I said, take inspired action. And this came to me, and obviously I haven't uploaded in 5 ever. So I was like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to record, I'm going to put everything else on hold until I get this episode out. With that all said, once again, life is a mirror. Is essentially you wake up in the morning, right? Your alarm doesn't go off, so now you're running late to work. Now you go to make breakfast, you burn your toast, right? Now you're running out the door, you stub your toe. Now you get to your car, there's a flat tire, and you can't drive to work. Now you're going to be even more late. Everything is just going so wrong. So this is a little advice when that does happen, when you find yourself in this super bad pattern, because I literally heard this today at work, and even yesterday, like my coworkers, they go, oh, it's just one of those days. It's like 9 a.m. and they like keep dropping stuff, and they're like, oh, it's just one of those days. And I'm not making fun of them at all. Like, I 100% get that. But by you saying, oh, it's just going to be one of those days, and that's what you're believing from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., it is just going to be one of those days. So that's why I think you should try and nip it in the butt early in the morning and say, okay, I woke up late to my alarm, but it's okay. And then just, like take that few deep breaths. That's another thing that I'm really realizing, how much breath work does impact your mental and physical state. So another thing to look into if you are as easily triggered as me, so to say. Like, I know when I get in, because once again, I've lived this burnt toast theory millions of times, and I get like, just going. But I know that if I keep going, and this is so bad, especially when I am driving, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. It's like one person cuts me off and they didn't use their blinker. The next time I go to turn and I hit the curb. The next time I have to slam on my brakes because the person in front of me, like, you get what I'm saying? And then especially with driving, it becomes unsafe. So life is a mirror. I had a picture that I definitely showcased on one of my previous podcast episodes. But essentially it means if you see the world as everybody is so kind, everybody is so happy and helpful and generous, all of the people you encounter that day are going to seem like that. But if you wake up, as I said, and you're in such an angry mood and you're like, everybody's so mean to me and the world just hates me and nothing ever goes my way, the world, like, reality is going to reflect that back to you. So doesn't it sound so insane and powerful just to say, if you have positive thoughts, you will have a positive life. If you have negative thoughts, you will have a negative life. And you are in control of your thoughts, and that therefore means you are in control of your life. Which I think is something so powerful that people just do not realize. So, another one, this is philosophy number 5. So, I said you need to step into who you want to be. Essentially, if you want to be, let's say, a rich, successful, what kind of rich and a rich, successful influencer who is dating a finance guy, like a really, not like a finance, but like a CEO of Netflix or something like that. Do you think, so let's take it a few steps back. You want to be an influencer, right? You're not just going to wake up one day and have 1 million followers. What does an influencer do? Okay, they post every day. Now, you, with your 10 followers, just start posting every single day. And now, you're stepping into being an influencer. You get what I'm saying? It's not going to be you randomly wake up one day and it's like, poof. You need to do a little bit by little bit. This is something I've been thinking about recently with relationships. Pretty much the areas of my life where I'm at. So, like, I go to the gym. Not that I really want to meet a guy at the gym. Like, I'm not there for that. You know what I mean? But, like, if I want to meet a mature, respectable, wealthy, business, career-oriented man, maybe I shouldn't just be going to Chick-fil-A, going to Crunch. Like, where am I going to run into him if those are the only places I go? Now, if I were to go to nice bar tops and whatever, now I'm stepping into somebody who would be sought after from the type of man that I described. You get what I'm saying? And that doesn't just work for relationships. I'm just saying that is something I've been really realizing, because I'm sure a lot of other girls feel this way too, that it's just like, I haven't found the right man for me. And it's like, okay, where are you hanging out? Are you hanging out at a dive bar every single weekend? Do you want your future boyfriend to be somebody who goes to the dive bar every single weekend? You know what I mean? Like, you need to step into that reality, start creating it for yourself before it becomes your entire reality. There's, like, somewhere to start, So, number 9, this is something so insanely helpful to me. This is kind of probably one of my top 3 out of this entire list. people are always projecting. Somebody looks at you and goes, oh my God, you are so ugly. Most likely, they themselves feel that they are ugly. If somebody looks at you and go, oh my God, you're so fat, they probably have some insecurities about their own weight. So 9 out of 10 times, I want to say when somebody comments on anything about you, honestly, positive or negative, it's projecting from somewhere. I mainly think of it more from negative, but also if you do want to, interestingly enough, look at it from a positive perspective, I feel like if I see somebody who has really long hair and I go, oh my God, your hair is so long, that's gorgeous. You can tell what that says about me. That means that I really want long hair, that maybe I've never been able to grow long hair. You know what I mean? Everything that somebody says, there's psychology behind it. I've always been a freak about psychology. But anyways, with that said, if they're mean to you, oh, and this is another thing, I think it's called like anger transference. I saw a cartoon picture that always goes around, and it's pretty much the boss is yelling at the dad. And then guess who? The dad goes home, and guess who he yells at? The dad yells at his wife. Now, guess who the wife goes and yells at? The wife yells at her kid. Guess who the kid yells at? Now he goes and yells at the dog. Pretty sure that's called anger transference, but it's essentially just because the boss yelled at the dad at work and he wasn't able to cut it off and he had to bring it home and project it onto somebody else. Not good. Not good. If someone's mean to you, that either means that someone was mean to them, hence the anger transference thing that I just discussed, or they hate themselves. I don't want to say I see this a lot, but I understand it. I've had my own phases where I was just a biatch to, like, my mom, and it had nothing to do with her. She was being the sweetest person in the world, just trying to help me, just whatever, and then I'm just so angry at myself and unhappy and have all this hatred inside of me that it has nothing. She could have said, oh, I love you, sweetie. And no matter what, because I'm so upset with myself, I'll go, oh yeah, sure you do. Like, I don't believe her. And it's like, why? That's just an example. But that's how it is with everything. Like, I saw today I saw somebody and they pretty much snapped at their mom for like pretty much no reason. Like, no reason. And I was like, geez, I think I used to be like that. So, with that said, I think it's just, those people who just always seem so unhappy and are so like, and they're probably really mean. Like, I'm thinking of like an old grouch, like an old man who's like lonely and a grouch. There's like Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. Like, there's a reason that they're so upset. And that's kind of another thing that if somebody is mean to you, I wouldn't say to just snap back and be mean right back to them. Like, two wrongs don't make a right. That's not going to heal the situation. And I also think it's not interesting, but it'll make the world a better place if the person who is in a positive perspective, if somebody's mean to them, and the person who's fine and knows that they're just projecting and know that it has nothing to do with them, if they were to be a little more sympathetic and nice to them, saying like, oh, like, I'm sorry about that, like, da-da-da-da-da, that other person, because this is what always happens to me when I'm mean to somebody and somebody's nice back to me, that person will probably either feel really bad about themselves, being like, oh my God, what did I do, that, da-da-da, and have a little reflection moment, not saying that you should want that person to feel bad about themselves, or then they could take a breath, and they could see that other people are nice, take a step back, and then switch their day around, and now maybe be a little more like, oh yeah, maybe I have been a little mean to people recently, like, maybe there's no need to snap at people, you know what I mean? I think that it is important to show mean people a little grace, because it's nothing to do with you and everything to do with them, and probably everything that's going on inside of their head, they're saying a lot meaner things to themselves than they're even scratching the surface with you, so give them a little grace. Now, number 7, every problem has a solution. This is another philosophy that I really heavily lean towards whenever a problem is presented to me. This is something that I learned about maybe like a year and a half ago when I got my first job out of college. And yeah, that's just pretty much what my boss always said. He was like, it's not a problem. Like, there's a way to solve it. Like, there is a solution to this. It's not just an issue that's never going to be resolved. There's a way to solve it. So you just need to do a little investigating, figure out what it is. And guess what? Once you do find out what that problem is and you solve it, now next time if this occurs, you're equipped. You know what to do. Kind of a silly example, but I'm going to say it anyways. My fan, so there's that string on there. There's another string, which I didn't reattach yet. But long story short, my fan wasn't working. So I didn't have it for like 2 weeks. I was like, oh my God. And then me and my mom like bought the new part, unassembled it, reassembled it, and fixed it. So now if my fan were to get broken, it's not, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Do we need to buy a new fan? Is this going to be a whole additional cost? Yada, yada, yada. I'll be able to say, oh, we just need to buy this part. It's $7 on Amazon. We just need to unscrew it, turn off the electricity downstairs, make sure everything's fine. Another little random thing, what I did learn, so my mom was standing on that, right? And I'm like standing on my bed and we're like figuring this out, whatever. And she goes, well, for this part, I wasn't standing on my bed. I went on my bed when I had to fix it, but like this part of the story, which, another note, which I've talked about before, every time I'm telling a story, even a little thing like that, does it really matter if I was standing on the bed or if I was sitting here? Probably doesn't matter for the story, but I need to be so accurate. Otherwise, I'm like, oh my God, I just lied to you guys. I digress. So my mom's standing there. I'm like over here. There's a spark, like it electrocutes. And my mom goes, she was like, oh, do you know what to do if I get electrocuted? And I was like, no. And then she starts like working again. And I'm like, wait, pause, take a step back. What am I supposed to do? I kid you not. She goes, oh, just push me onto the ground. Like push her onto the ground. So what I was thinking, I was like, if she's standing there, I would push her onto my bed. But then, like, her calves, her shins would get caught on there. Point being, if I were to shove her onto the ground, like, we're going to have bigger issues than her just being electrocuted. Like, things are going to be, she is going to be broken, you know what I mean? And furthermore, it was just a crazy thing, and like that's what apparently you're supposed to do if someone gets electrocuted, because you've seen in cartoons when they touch something and they go and like it doesn't unattach until they're like, and then have you seen if somebody like tries to pull them off and then both of them are just like so she was like, you need to push me because if you do it too late, you can get stuck, and then me and her would both just be getting electrocuted, and it's like, oh my goodness. So, anyways, yeah, every problem has a solution, and you'll be better equipped once you do find out what that solution is. All right, last 3. Number 8, don't say mean things to yourself. Like, I cannot iterate how important it is to not say things like, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I hate myself. Oh, I always mess up. Oh, saying that you always something is, anytime it's a negative thing, it's always bad. But I feel like if you were to say, oh, I always show up on time, I always think positive thoughts, that's, positive affirmations. But if you say, oh, I always mess things up, just pretty much the things that you tell yourself are so insanely important. And that's, once again, something that I've realized in my life when I do get into those negative headspaces. And I'm just constantly telling myself bad things. Like, it just makes it a million times worse, that you just need to, like, nip it one quick second and go, okay, we're going to rewrite the script. I'm going to calm down. I'm not going to be mean to myself, and then say a few nice things to yourself. And I understand that this is hard sometimes because, when you're telling yourself affirmations, if you're crying and you go, I'm smart, I'm happy, then my brain immediately, there's that other voice that just snaps in and is like, oh, no, you're not, you're lying to yourself, da-da-da-da-da. Me not being in that headspace right now, I'm going to tell you to just, like, tell yourself positive things, give yourself grace, be kind to yourself. Highlight of it, do not say mean things to yourself, even if it is so simple. If somebody's like, oh, you messed up on this, and you're like, yeah, I'm so stupid, I always do that. Don't say that. Even something as small as that, like, if you think it's just like a throwaway statement, don't say that. Number 9, this one I really like. This one's really good. Don't attribute to malice what could be attributed to ignorance. If somebody does something to you, don't say, oh, they did that on purpose. Oh, they were just being mean. Malice essentially means, like, mean intent, right? So don't attribute something to malice. So don't assume that somebody was being mean when you could just attribute it to somebody being ignorant. I don't want to say stupid, but, like, oblivious. Like, they didn't realize they were doing it. And this just causes you so much more peace because you can't always know what somebody else is thinking. So if you can grant yourself that peace by just saying, like, oh, they didn't mean to do it, at least me personally, that'll make me a million times happier than if I'm working myself up, being like, oh, why would they do that? That was so mean, da-da-da-da. What I think about in this, let's say it's like, you're driving, once again. You're driving and somebody cuts you off. Instead of going, oh, they did that on purpose, they saw me driving and they just wanted to be a, whatever, you should be like, oh, maybe they didn't see me. I'm safe, they're safe, nobody got in a car accident. Buddy got where he needed to go. Good for him. Done. Don't need to worry about it any longer. As opposed to, like, just getting yourself so worked up and being so angry. And that works with anything. Let's say you're on the street and somebody bumps in. I think this is, like, I saw it was a street interview on TikTok that's where I got it from maybe like 2 years ago or something, that a guy did bump into somebody, right? So this guy's walking, he bumps into the interviewer, and the interviewer talks to this other guy, and he's like, like, why, like, getting a little worked up, being like, that guy, like, does he not see that we're recording here? And that guy goes, oh, don't attribute to malice what could be attributed to ignorance. Meaning that that guy who was walking, don't assume that he saw you doing an interview and he purposely bumped into you to cause a scene and to make you angry and to lose your train of thought. Instead, assume that he didn't see you, that he didn't mean to bump into you. Imagine he even like apologized and you just didn't hear him. You know what I mean? But if you're so worked up saying, he did that on purpose, da 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 da, it's just bad. It's just so much more unnecessary hate. You're just driving yourself angry for what? And once again, it's just good to assume that everybody's nice. I saw this. I don't remember what the guy's name is. I'm imagining him. He was one of the main like fan favorites from Love on the Spectrum. And he pretty much goes that he was going somewhere and he's like, I'm sure people will be nice to me. People are always nice to me. And I was like, that's so cute. That's so perfect. That's something so nice to assume. Just assume everybody's going to be so nice to you. Because then you approach them with this more like positive energy and then they'll reciprocate it back. As opposed to if you go, I'm always so scared of new places. People are always so mean to me and nobody talks to me. Now you're going to go into this room, this new place that you're talking about, and you're going to be so like shy and hidden. And now guess what? You're reconfirming your previous notions, preconceived notions and beliefs, because that's what you're attracting. You're going there, you're going like this, and you're saying, nobody's going to talk to me. When you're going in there like this, nobody is going to talk to you. Sorry. But if you assume, I'm going to go in there, everybody's going to be so nice to me, everybody's going to approach me, now you walk into the room like this, and you're looking for eye contact, you're trying to get people's attention, and maybe you even approach people, and now people are nice to you. So that's just 2 lessons that I learned. Don't attribute to malice what could be attributed to ignorance. In simple terms, just assume people are nice. Don't assume that people are being mean all the time. Maybe assume that they're just stupid. If that fits better in your, what's the word I'm looking for? Not diagram, not description. If that fits better in your, like, written out plot in your head. What the flip word am I looking for? Whatever, you know what I mean. If that works better for you, then we'll leave that. And then the last one. This one I actually made a whole episode on that pretty much was like, nervousness versus excitement, what's the difference? Or it said, be excited instead of nervous, something along those lines. So number 10 is being scared/uncomfortable is a good sign. Now, I don't mean if you go over to somebody's apartment on the first Tinder date and you're like, he's giving me creepy vibes, like, uncomfortable. I hope I don't get myself into a really bad situation. That's not what I mean by uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, I mean, let's say you have a big presentation to do. Let's say that you're giving a speech to, like, a group of, I want to say change makers. I don't feel like that's not the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Let's say that you're presenting something to a group of people that they can actually put your ideas into action and make something happen. So you're a little nervous to give this speech. Maybe you're just excited because you know how much is on the line. Once again, don't assume things will go wrong. Assume things will go right and know that, yeah, that's my point about whenever you're like nervous, it's because you're excited because it's something that you do really want to do. When you're uncomfortable, it's because you're growing. You're not supposed to stay in the same place all of the time, and you can't leave that place without feeling uncomfortable. You're not going to discover something new by staying in your comfort zone. So I think being uncomfortable is a feeling that you need to get comfortable with. That's the only way that you can truly grow. That's another huge thing, which some people I can understand how you may see it as negative, but taking that chance, letting yourself be uncomfortable for that 1 second, doing that small action, whatever it is, like that can change the entire trajectory of your life. And here's just because I'm like a little gym girl, a little comparison I'm thinking of, if you're doing like an ab workout and your abs are like really uncomfortable and really hurting, that's because you're growing those abs. You're making progress there. And once again, similar to my problem solving philosophy, once you conquer it once, you just keep doing it and it becomes easier. And now it's not something that you're like, oh my gosh, can I do it? Wait, how do I overcome it? You know you can overcome it because you have before. And you know how to for the next time. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys. I felt good about that episode. Yay! All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you guys incorporate these philosophies into your life. I hope that you could see the common theme around it. Essentially, leave a comment. Leave a comment what you think. Leave a comment what philosophies you want to adopt or ones that you already use that you didn't even realize that you do. But also let me know what you, if you want to like not summarize this, but what you think the main theme is for these. And if you agree with me in saying that I think it's just about how to live a positive life, how to assume and step into good experiences for yourself, and that you deserve it and you're worthy of it and you are the one person who can make it happen. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching, and thank you for everything, actually. Bye, guys!